The liminal return. Prologue. Celia pressed her forehead against the inside of the van's rear window, watching morning sunlight carve sharp angles across the dew-damp grass. She'd just driven 200 miles from the sprawling metropolis she once called home, an absence intended to clear her mind, reset its overclocked gears. What she found, instead of solace, was a rented apartment emptied of her life. Boxes and furniture lay strewn across the lawn, misplaced souls cast out from any foundation. The sight filled her with a cold ache. She stepped out, the crisp dawn air biting through her jacket, and eyed the lawns of neighbors. Splintered cardboard, a desk chair half buried in the pink blossoms falling from an ornamental crabapple. Everything, she whispered. Her own voice sounded brittle. Chapter 1. Departure. Celia's trip had been spur of the moment, a bus to the coast, a hotel with cheap sheets and the constant murmur of ocean waves. She'd almost resisted the decision. Work deadlines hovered, emails clamored. But something inside her, an instinct she didn't fully recognize, had led her out the door. She told her roommate, Marco, she needed space. Said she'd unplug, maybe think. What she didn't say was, she thought she might disappear. The small town by the sea granted anonymity. No one knew Celia's history, the hours she'd spent frozen before a blank computer screen, the nights she'd drifted through without energy. There, the kind clerk handed her a room key without a second glance. The beach at sunrise embraced her, audaciously beautiful, like an old friend forgiving her for disappearing. Chapter 2. The text. 3 days in, she received a message from Marco. Landlord came by, said rent's overdue. Call when you can. Her panic spiked. She was untethered enough to stray, but not to abandon responsibility. The trip had been a gamble, a temporary pause, not a full stop. She called Marco. He spoke quietly. The landlord had changed the locks. All her things were out. They'd been dumped by the curb. He'd taken pictures. He'd even reboxed a few sentimental items to keep them safe, but that night, he fell asleep before he sent them. Crushed, Celia felt fury and shame coiling inside her, like smoke in her throat. She told Marco she'd come home. She ended the call. Chapter 3. The arrival. The van's tires hummed through suburbs she barely recognized anymore. Houses, trees, mailboxes. She'd learned to see in grayscale, numb. The leak from one box of books had swollen the cardboard. Faded paperbacks lay open to rain-soaked pages. A lamp, her favorite, cream-colored with flax petal shade, lay base up. Neighbors emerged, curious. A postal worker paused, eyebrows raised. An elderly man waved a cup of coffee. Moving day? He asked. Celia inhaled. She felt like a ghost crossing into living rooms that used to be hers. She began with the boxes still intact. Her camera gear, portable recorder, lens cloths, were damp but salvageable. Clothes, crumpled and sandy. She mumbled curses, but they felt hollow. Chapter 4. Fragments of memory. A scorched photo frame, broken glass. It held a picture of Celia and Matteo smiling, embracing on a winter trip to Prague. The edges were warped from rain. She knelt and touched the glass shards gingerly. Matteo's name fell through her mind like a stone. They'd met years ago, passionate, explosive, devastating. Their relationship ended because she feared being engulfed. She'd walked away, he'd stayed. The memory rose again in her chest, drifting snowflakes, his outstretched hand in Charles Bridge, the flicker in his eyes when she read lines of Rilke by candlelight. She exhaled. She tucked the crushed photo carefully into a reusable grocery bag Marco had given her. Chapter 5. Confrontations. The landlord appeared at the edge of the lawn, tall, suited, face unreadable. Celia clenched her jaw. He told her curtly, rent was unpaid past the grace period, notice given. They'd cleared the apartment as he was legally entitled. She understood. His sister had died during a late-night fire at one of their buildings. He held the law's line to keep himself sane. Her throat burned. She tried to speak, but no words found breath. So she stood, watching the boxes shift in the morning wind, a ship of debris heading nowhere. Chapter 6. The Decision. Back in the van, she ran a hand through her hair. She could go back and try to fix things, find temporary housing, take out a loan, rebuild her belongings. But did she want to rebuild the old? Or redefine what home could be? Her ticket home had turned into a trap: rent, bills, responsibilities. She could choose a new rhythm: less stuff, less weight, more air. She set the van's GPS to a rural mountain town where she'd once met an old friend, Sarah. Nothing planned, just a horizon, a quiet space. She grabbed a box of books she loved most: classic poetry, literature that reminded her of emotional expanses, and set off. Chapter 7. Inventory of loss. A list unfolded. A cracked laptop with sensitive work files, gone. Kitchenware, lost. Mattresses, personal items, linens, gone. Photographs, letters, boxes unsorted for years, scattered. But some things remained: ideas, creativity, the willingness to risk everything. Some of her best writing came after moments of rupture. This could be another. She felt grief, yes. But alongside it, a glimmer of something like hope. Chapter 8. Road to Somewhere. The road curved through ancient pines as afternoon light glowed gold. She stopped by a lake to stretch. Her hands trembled when she pulled out the box of books, but she brushed off the dust and carried it with care. She set up camp nearby: a small tent, a cooking stove, the sounds of water lapping at the shore. That night, under a sky blanketed in stars, she reread her battered collection. Every poem, every story, became a keystone, a reason to keep writing, to keep being. Chapter 9. The Bench. A week later, in that mountain town, she found a small cafe with a sunny bench outside. She sat there, notebook on her lap, pen moving. A gentle voice greeted her: Sarah, her friend from college, now a poet living off-grid in yurts and pine forests. They embraced. Sarah asked questions. Celia answered, sometimes with a tear, sometimes with laughter. By noon, they'd shared eggs and coffee. On the bench, Celia began scribbling. Greater than, some things fall apart to let the sun reach the foundation. The words surprised her. Raw honesty. She wrote on. Chapter 10. A Letter to Matteo. That evening, beside a fireplace in Sarah's cabin, Celia wrote a letter to Matteo, unsent, but cathartic. Greater than, I'm empty-handed right now. But not empty-hearted. You were the snow-bright thing I lost and found again inside a crack. She paused, smiled. She realized, she didn't know if she missed him, but she missed the person she was with him, the bold wanderer, the tender dreamer. She put the letter away with the photo. Chapter 11. Reclamation. Days became weeks. Celia helped Sarah with her writing retreats for teens. She taught a session, Reclaiming Creativity Through Personal Loss. She told her story, without shame, without apology. One teenager said, "So losing everything felt like starting fresh." She nodded. Yes. Terrifying. But true. By spring, she compiled a pamphlet of poems and essays. She began envisioning a book, Liminal Return, about the threshold of loss and rebirth. Chapter 12. The Pivot. One morning, she walked into a small bookstore in town. Used shelves, sunlight, the warm smell of paper. She explained her project to the owner. He offered a table in the back window where she could sell her pamphlets. That afternoon, she sat at the table, greeting passersby. Some bought the pamphlet, some just smiled and nodded. She felt alive. Vulnerable, yes, but wildly alive. Chapter 13. Returning again. After months, Celia decided to return to the city. Not to reclaim the apartment or its contents, that ship had sailed. Instead, to begin again in a lean studio, furnished with echoes rather than things. She packed the remaining items, the lamp, the box of books, the photo. She mailed the unsent letter home, sealed. She drove back. Chapter 14. The new apartment. The new space was small. A kitchenette with a single window, a bookcase, and the lamp on a simple desk. She placed the photo frame on the windowsill, where it caught morning light. Her van-turned laptop bag held her recorder, journal, laptop, and a few clothes. It felt like an armful of everything she needed. Chapter 15. New Rhythms. She published Liminal Return as an e-pamphlet, sharing it online and in the bookstore where she'd sold her first copies. It received kind reviews, raw, beautifully bare. She began reading at small venues. The lamp shone beside her writing. The photograph whispered a quiet invitation, to remember, but not to return. Epilogue. The Threshold. One evening, she stood on her apartment's small balcony, watching lights flicker like distant constellations. She held her notebook close. It had 7 more blank pages, a new piece to fill. She realized that losing everything had gifted her something rare, a new vantage point, a life edited to essentials, a story shaped by fire and renewal. She began to write. Greater than, I return, lighter, kinder, spring in my veins. Not because I've everything, but because I have enough. And she stepped back inside, the lamp casting a soft glow over her work, her life, one choice at a time.